Okay, another little build video. I'm gonna try to knock out my Moonraker 1/44th scale kit. I already did something on the crawler already, and I've got that waiting. And now I'm gonna start assembling the external tank and rocket boosters, and then proceed to the shuttle itself. But I'm kind of debating to do this full-on accurate to the Moonraker model, or to try to make it more realistic to the actual look of the space shuttle itself, with the external tank not painted white. Not sure yet, so still playing around with that idea, but time to start cleaning parts and assembling. I've got the TV going, watching the Bourne Identity, so if you hear noise in the background, that's what's going on there. Just kind of relaxing. I've caught up on my grading, caught up on my planning. It's kind of a long week, despite the fact that we had Monday off for Labor Day. All the fires are generating so much frickin' smoke that you can't really go outside and do anything like, you know, take nice walks and go riding your bike and that kind of stuff. It's just really bad smoke outside. These fires are just beyond belief. But that's what you get when you go hog wild with the environmental regulations instead of being more economical in your policies. Economical not meaning focusing on money, but I'm an econ teacher. Economical meaning, do you understand the basic idea of trade-offs? Do you understand the basic concept of a cost-benefit analysis? Because we're gonna spend so much money fighting these fires again, and we're gonna lose so much money in the destruction of property that you gotta stop and think, okay, would it have cost less to allow more lumber work for the clearing of things so that there wasn't all this available fuel to feed these fires? And I love California, don't get me wrong. I think this is a great state. We've got some of the most amazing stuff here, but we sure do have a lot of hippies who think they know what's best, and they just do not get it. All they see is their own limited perspective on everything, that, you know, everybody needs to be 100% green or die. And it's costing us a pretty penny to be that stupid. And lest anyone get all butthurt about me talking about hippies, hey, I'm wearing my tie-dye shirt. I'm not a hippie, but I'm still a Californian. So we need to stop this ridiculous overindulgence in extreme environmentalism. There was never a time in human history when human beings were not modifying the environment to make things more convenient for ourselves. There is this common myth that before the Europeans showed up, America was this pristine wilderness where all the natives were just, living entirely off the land without any kind of conflicts, and everything was just hunky-dory and wonderful and whatnot. And that's just so not true. If you've ever gone to Massachusetts and gone to see Plymouth Plantation, that early settlement, part of the settlement tour and everything is an actual working Native American outdoor museum. Tribal members that do still maintain some of the traditions, and they will take you right through that traditional area and explain to you how their forebears modified the environment and basically cultivated much of what would one day become the Massachusetts Bay colony into just a gigantic park, basically, with trails and pathways and scattered living areas so they could move around and always have a shelter somewhere else. Human beings are human beings, and it's just stupidity. A lot of people today and over the past 30 or 40 years in education trying to foist this myth and this ridiculousness that everything was great until the Europeans showed up. Well, Native American tribes were warring with each other pretty heavily before Europeans ever showed up, and when the first European fishers arrived off the coast, even going back to the Vikings, making it down to Nova Scotia, native individuals were curious, just like those Europeans were curious, and some of them voluntarily jumped on board ship. Some of them got kidnapped, but then became rather reputable back in Europe. Just reading about the history of Squanto with the whole Plymouth colony, he learned to speak English, and that put him in an incredible position of power in dealing with all the English settlers and their leadership that came later, and it put Squanto in a position of huge influence within his tribe. And you can see in a lot of the history of that how his ambitions shaped a lot of what happened. So we need to stop dealing with groups and start getting back to understanding people as individuals, because that is what history is replete with. It's the enterprising ambitions of individuals to get themselves into positions of advantage over other individuals. And it's only when we start falling into groupthink that you give a lot of room to those kinds of individuals. So, long story short, here in California, we need to start recognizing that we can't just assume that modifying the environment is a bad thing, because we've modified so much of it now. I mean, Jesus, just look at the Bay Area and look at LA and San Diego and Central Valley and every coastline of every large lake in the state that is littered with cabins from well-to-do individuals who want to have that retreat up in the mountains, but so much of that is literally burning to the ground right now. You've probably seen it in the news if you've been paying any attention, but there's this little community at Lake Madrone, east of Lake Oroville, which is an amazing modification of the environment, if I may say so myself. I used to take kids there all the time when they were littler, when we used to live up there, and go to the museum that they've got that shows how the dam was built and how it generates all the power that it generates and everything. But anyway, that little community of Berry Creek, basically a bunch of cabins on the lakeside at Madrone, it's gone, entirely gone, just like the community of Paradise last year. All of those little foothills and higher foothill areas where people have built all their little vacation escape places, and where other people have actually settled down and try to make a living up there, either with lumber or with tourism. This is not going to recover. Too much destruction. So the tank is not going to fit together very well. It's a little tweaked. So that's going to take some finagling to get that to stay together the right way. So let me play around with that and come back at you.